Eve was excited. Andre had been planning this date for weeks, dropping hints that it was going to be the most thrilling experience of their lives. He was adventurous, confident, and always looking for something to push the boundaries. Eve, while a bit more reserved, was thrilled at the idea of being with someone so bold. So, when Andre revealed their date was going to be skydiving, she decided to be brave and go for it. The day of the big date arrived, and Eve found herself staring up at a tiny plane that looked more like an overgrown mosquito than something meant to carry people. Andre was already beaming with excitement, practically buzzing as they geared up. Eve put on a smile, trying to hide her nerves. "It'll be fun," she kept telling herself. "A once-in-a-lifetime experience." As they boarded the plane, Eve noticed how everything seemed a little disorganized. Andre had found this skydiving place on some discount website, and she had to admit it looked a bit more budget than she expected. Once in the air, things started to go south almost immediately. The instructor, who seemed a little too laid back, was yelling instructions over the roar of the plane's engine. Eve, trying to listen while managing her racing heart, caught about half of what he was saying. Andre, on the other hand, was grinning ear to ear, snapping selfies, and barely listening. It wasn't exactly reassuring. Then came the moment of truth. The door to the plane opened, and the wind roared inside, louder than anything Eve had ever heard. Andre went first, jumping out without a moment's hesitation, letting out a whoop of joy as he disappeared into the sky. Eve felt her stomach flip. It was her turn. She took a deep breath, stepped to the edge, and fell. The first few seconds were exhilarating. The wind rushing past her, the ground far below, her heart pounding in her ears. It was terrifying, but also kind of incredible. But then, she noticed something that turned her excitement to sheer panic. She pulled on the cord, and nothing. The parachute didn't open. Her heart stopped. She pulled again, harder this time, but still nothing. She frantically looked around, trying to remember the emergency procedures the instructor had barely explained. Eve was falling, and falling fast. She tried the backup chute, and, thankfully, it deployed, jerking her upwards and slowing her descent. She breathed out, half a scream and half a sob of relief. Meanwhile, Andre was floating far below her, completely oblivious. He seemed to be having the time of his life, spiraling and swooping through the air. Eve, on the other hand, was just trying to steady her racing heart and make it to the ground in one piece. When she finally touched down, it wasn't graceful. She ended up crashing into a muddy field, rolling and splashing through the dirt. She was soaked, filthy, and utterly shaken. As she struggled to her feet, trying to get her bearings, she saw Andre running over, still wearing that stupid grin. "Wasn't that amazing?" he yelled. Eve could barely speak. She was covered in mud, her knees shaking, her heart still racing. Andre didn't seem to notice her state at all. He was too busy talking about how they should do it again. Maybe go bungee jumping next time. Eve just stared at him, wondering how he could be so clueless. To top it all off, as they were walking back to the facility, Andre tripped over his own parachute, falling face first into the mud right next to Eve. He sat up, laughing like it was the funniest thing in the world, while Eve just shook her head, wondering what on earth she had gotten herself into. Needless to say, there was no second date. Eve decided she'd stick to adventures that didn't involve faulty parachutes, discount websites, or guys who thought nearly plummeting to your doom was amazing.